I was scared of the original cartoon. I think I watched it once and then I never picked it up again.
Hey everybody, what's up? Welcome back. Before we even get into the knit and grit of what this video is going to entail, I first want to put Cinemark on blast because y'all knew y'all was trifling talking about these. You know like those reds, the red and blue slushies that they have, talking about, oh, this is enchanted cherry and royal raspberry. I'm like, oh, this is gonna be so great. Like, oh, new flavors. That's just for this movie. That's a little weird, but okay, cool. So I get these drinks, and it's literally the same exact flavors that we've been getting the entire time. They just renamed it. So I had to put Cinemark on blast real quick. Y'all knew y'all was wrong for that, trying to act like y'all got these new promotional flavors for the film, when in reality, it was the same drinks that we've been getting the entire time. Y'all tried it. Okay, so with that little rant out the way, because I just had to put Cinemark on blast real quick. I did go see this new Snow White film, the remake, and I gotta say, there's a lot to talk about. I'll try to keep my thoughts down to a minimum, so this video won't be too long, because I could say that much, but I won't make this too long. We will get into the whole, Rachel Zegler got fired from Disney. Oh my God. We'll touch on that. I feel like it's not a messy topic, but I do see it coming up repeatedly, so I will touch on that in this video, so stay tuned. I'll save that one towards the end. But yeah, let's get into this movie and why, because at first I called it mid, but now I just gotta be fully honest. The movie was terrible. It was terrible. I feel like wanting to say mid originally was just being really nice. But when I got back home and thought more deeply into it and I wrote my thoughts down, I'm just like, this movie was horrible. So me personally, I didn't realize that this movie bombed until after I had already saw it in theater. So this isn't me being like, oh, I'm just going to be on the hate train and just join the hate train because I want to hate this movie. Like, no, originally, if you look back on my community tabs, I said that Rachel's voice sounded kind of nice and, maybe the film wouldn't be so terrible. So I went in being like, okay, this is remake central, but maybe Disney will do okay with it. Maybe it won't be so terrible. And I was absolutely wrong. It was horrible. So it went from me thinking it was mid from, no, the movie just sucks. And it's no surprise because between Rachel's big mouth and Disney's track record for not so great remakes, it's not really a surprise that this didn't do well. I do want to get this out the way real quick. I did not feel like the movie was woke. Y'all know how I feel about the misuse of that word, but I did not feel like the movie was very politically motivated. If it wasn't very strong, like in more, it wasn't as obvious like in other titles, like The Little Mermaid, like when Ariel literally just killed the villain all on her own because she's a strong, independent Black woman who don't need no man. Yeah. But anyway, yeah, if it was there, it wasn't as obvious. So I did not feel that the movie was that politically charged. For starters, I can't really put my finger on it, but I thought it was really strange and it felt weird for there to be singing in the opening part of the film. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm very aware there was singing originally in the Snow White movie, in the cartoon. I'm very aware of that. However, with the king singing, the queen kind of singing, and then Snow White, I just felt it was weird. It was very weird. I can't explain why, but it felt out of place. I cringed a little in my chair. I'm like, ugh, like this is like, why are they singing? I don't know. I can't explain it. It was really, in my opinion, none of the males had very good voices. That's just my personal opinion. I guess the dwarves, even though they're CGI, which we will get on that, even though they're CGI, there are men behind those voices. So they sounded okay for what they were, but the men in general, they just were not bringing the vocals to the table, in my personal opinion. Let's be honest about this. The original Snow White, it worked because it was an animated cartoon. It was an animated film. So they could, and it was the first of its kind. So there's a lot that they could get away with. And Disney had like a really big responsibility of taking something from the 20th century and bringing it into the 21st century. And they could have done so much with it, and they could have been so creative, but they weren't. I mean, in some ways they were, but overall they weren't. I just felt the ending was anticlimactic. The movie didn't really have the soul and spirit of Snow White. It just wasn't really there. Like, and Snow White herself felt kind of, she didn't feel like somebody that you wanted to root for, that you wanted to get behind. It just, the movie, that's the best way I can put it. The movie lacked a lot of soul. Speaking of the ending, spoiler alert, the Queen's death or her demise didn't make any sense. I mean, the one thing that they got right was that she did it to herself. Her demise was self-inflicted. Other than that, it doesn't make any sense. So it's like, she was just like, fuck this bitch. And was just like, just broke the mirror and then petrified into like mold or something. And then got sucked into the mirror. Where did this messy mirror magic come from? Like, it doesn't make any sense. It was just bad. I'm not saying she had to get bolted off of a cliff, with a boulder falling on top of her. That didn't have to happen. I'm okay with someone's death changing a little bit as long as the spirit is still there. And I know some of y'all who love the Little Mermaid remake, which there's nothing wrong with loving that, but I know some of y'all are coming for me talking about like,
well, why do you complain about Ariel and how she finished off Ursula?
Because that's not the spirit of the film. The spirit of the film is Eric proving to the whole Mer kingdom that he's deserving of Ariel's hand, and that humans and mermaids can coexist and they can get along. By Ariel killing Ursula, that doesn't really prove Prince Eric. I mean, to me, the difference is very clear. But anyway, okay, let's talk about the love story. Does anybody remember this?
There's a big focus on her love story with a guy who literally stalks her.
Yeah.
Weird.
Super weird.
So we didn't do that this time.
Yeah, the movie wasn't completely about the love story, but there were some major inconsistencies. If the fairest of all was the queen, whether it be in beauty or being just, if it was beauty, at what point did Snow White become prettier than the queen? If it was about being just, when was the queen ever just? Earlier in the film, while she was openly evil, the mirror said she was the fairest. Okay, the fairest how? How was she the fairest? Was it when she killed Snow White's father? So in either case, what made the mirror decide that Snow White was the fairest in either sense? Make it make sense, Disney, because right now it doesn't. Okay, so let's jump into the dwarves. The CGI was so unnecessary, and I still fault Peter Dinklage. Like, ultimately Disney makes the decisions, but I fault him for being petty. And first of all, did you even really see the film? Because you said they were all living in a cave and that they were just backward. Okay, I mean, you're wrong in every sense, but I would have appreciated it much more if they used, smaller actors, little people, whatever you want to call them, whatever's appropriate. If they used them instead, that would have been so much better than these weird, creepy CGI. I mean, they didn't look terrible, but why not just use real little people? Like, give them opportunities. Like we always talk about in this country, how people who are marginalized, that's the word. People who are marginalized don't get opportunities. Well, I mean, how bad does it look when you have an amazing opportunity right here for not just one, like Peter Dinklage in that show he did, was it Game of Thrones? Not two, seven people could have had this opportunity, and it was wasted. And I don't know, it didn't sit right with me. I'm sorry, even though I didn't have a part in this, I'm sorry to all of the people who could have gone for that role and had an opportunity. I feel bad for y'all because it really should have been all of you. One thing I did like about the film is the analogy from the Queen about a diamond versus a rose, and how in her mind, the diamond was beautiful, but it was also strong, resilient, commanding. It commanded its respect, versus a rose, also beautiful, withers away. There's a time limit on it. Its beauty isn't infinite, it's finite. So in my mind, I'm like, okay, like I see where she's coming from. I love that they incorporated that in there. And at the same time, if you think about it, the Queen is more like the rose, because the Queen isn't very strong. Like, sure, she has a commanding personality, a commanding presence. She's strong in her own right. But because of her obsession with her beauty, that makes her weak. And just like everything in this world, it fades. Things fade over time. Her beauty will fade over time. And if her beauty to her is her greatest assets, then when it fades away, what else does she have? She'll be nothing. I feel like Snow White is more like the diamond, but I just thought that was cool. That was one thing that I did like. I'm open to change. I know some of you guys feel like I want it to be exactly like the cartoons, like for every remake. No, not necessarily. I'm open to incorporating new ideas and twists and stuff like that. It just needs to uphold the spirit of the film, and it needs to make sense. I feel like the romance and the love was lacking. So I'm going to reference Little Mermaid again. I don't know why I keep referencing it, but there's just some stuff that like just goes with it. Bear with me here. So in the Little Mermaid, at least they got like 3 days to get to know each other. I feel like that's for a cartoon, for an hour and 30, for a 90-minute film, fine. At least they got 3 days to know each other, and Ariel already knew of Eric early on. So that was okay. In Snow White, how much time did they get together? They weren't together very much. So for them, and I only bring this up because Disney pushes this narrative that women just easily fall in, or they go with this crowd, this sentiment that women just easily fall in love in like 2 seconds, and then they marry someone, or they say, let's just be in a relationship without even really knowing you. But that's kind of what you just did in this film. So I feel like Disney put themselves in a ditch with the romance, because the idea that they originally tried to go with, that they had Rachel go with, is, F the prince. He ain't nothing. We might even cut his lines. He might not even be in the movie. F him. Is not about that. It's about Snow White, her journey. It's about everything that her late father taught her that she could be. I know y'all remember. I know you guys remember this. I know you guys remember this.
It's really not about the love story at all, which is really, really wonderful. And whether or not she finds love along the way is anybody's guess until 2024. All of Andrew's scenes could get cut. Who knows? It's Hollywood, baby. But it's
so for it to be all of that, only for there to not even be a prince at all anymore. There is no prince. Even at the end of the movie, they didn't get married. So he's not even royalty. I mean, he may become royalty in the future if there's ever like a sequel or something, but there is no prince. So I guess maybe in that way, it was a little political, but it just caused the romance to be lacking. Like, they didn't have a lot of time together. He's not even a prince. Disney is everywhere. So those were all of the main things in the movie that stood out to me. In the comment section below, let me know what stood out to you. What things did you see? I would love to, you guys know I respond to y'all. So get in the comment section and let me know, like, what stood out to you? What did you like about it? What did you not like about it? And for this next part, we're going to get into the alleged
Rachel got fired from her job,
or got fired from Disney. I'm going to give my unfiltered opinion about this. So here we go. Throughout the whole filming time of this movie and the whole production phase, Rachel Zegler was known to say very many controversial things in general, not just about the film the original film itself, but just controversial things in general. She talked about how it was outdated, it's no longer 1937.
I just mean that it's no longer 1937, and we absolutely wrote a Snow White that is
not going to be saved by the prince.
She's not going to be saved by the prince, and she's not going to be dreaming about true love. She's dreaming about becoming the leader she knows she can be, and the leader that her late father told her that she could be if she was fearless, fair, brave, and true.
The prince was a stalker. She talked about how she hated the movie and never returned to it, but now all of a sudden she wants to play, be the lead in this movie. Then, of course, there were things like her thoughts on the presidency and, the president. And then, of course, there were her thoughts on Palestine. So just all of that. And a lot of it rubbed people the wrong way. If not for her disdain for the original movie, there were other reasons why some people didn't like her. So there was that. Now, with all that being said, people like to make it out to be that this movie failed because of Rachel Zegler. And I absolutely disagree with that. And I think that some people need to come to reality because if you really think about it, this movie was doomed from the start. Did Rachel have a hand in it? I think so. Yes, I do believe Rachel had a hand in it, but I do not believe she was the sole reason for this movie failing. Let's keep in mind, this is a Disney remake. It was destined. It was destined to fail, like the vast majority of them. We knew this movie, it was not going to make the $1 billion club. We just knew that it wasn't. So for people to act like Rachel is the reason why this classic failed, or why this new take on a classic failed, it's just absolutely incorrect. Disney has been known to take these princess movies and put modern, toxic feminist twists on it. Not that feminism is toxic, it's not, but the twist that they put on these movies is, making it anti-male, making it overly political in a lot of ways, and just putting unnecessary twists on things that didn't need to be in these movies. So this movie was destined to fail to begin with. So it just doesn't make sense to me how people I think people just want to hate Rachel just to hate her, but it's not entirely her fault. It really isn't. So I believe that Disney and associates are using Rachel as a PR, not punching bag, but kind of like a scapegoat to try to avoid the fact that it's really ultimately Disney's fault why this movie failed, because modern Disney does not know how to take a classic and make it absolutely amazing for the most part. On this channel, I try my best to be as fair as possible. Am I perfect? No. But one thing I definitely want to bring up is we have to talk about Gal Gadot. I hope that's how you say her name. We have to talk about Gal because a lot of people do not like her. And a lot of people did not want to support Snow White because of her. So yes, you had a camp of people who didn't want to support the movie because of Rachel, but you also had a camp of people who did not want to support Gal Gadot. And a lot of it, or most of it, I'm sure there were just some genuine haters who just don't like Gal Gadot, but a lot of it was because her views on Palestine and stuff like that. So, and by the way, please do not go to the comment section and use keywords about the warring countries. Please don't do that. Like, this video is not about that. And I don't want this to end up on the wrong side of YouTube. So please don't do that. But I'm just incorporating it here so that it gives you just a greater understanding of what's going on. So yeah, a lot of people don't like Gal Gadot because of that. There are some people who felt like Rachel was refreshing and that if it wasn't for her, people wouldn't want to see the movie. Some people felt like she balanced out Gal Gadot because, again, a lot of people don't like her stance on certain things. So both women had controversies that they brought to the table that also affected this film. So while I'm not a fan particularly of Rachel Zegler, I'm not going to make it seem like this is all her fault, because it's not. Everybody, Disney, Gal Gadot, Rachel Zegler, everybody had a hand in this in some kind of way. And I want everybody to be held accountable. So no, I don't want to. No, but seriously. So no, Rachel was not fired from Disney. Rachel completed all of her work. The movie's completed. She was in attendance for all the events, or for, pretty much all the events. She did her job. She got paid. You can't fire someone who completed their work and got paid for it and moved on to their next project. That you can't. Now, was she blacklisted? Probably. That's a little more realistic to say that she might have been blacklisted from Disney. But to say she was fired, I feel like people are just doing that because it makes for a juicy, clickable clickbait headline. But no, Rachel Zegler was not fired from Disney. Disney might not want to work with her for quite a while, but she was not fired. Like, let's stop with the drama. Let's stop trying. And like I said, let's stop trying to make stop trying to make it seem like Rachel is the reason why this movie is like a 1 star. Because it's not just her. So needless to say, I wasted my money on this film, and hopefully it was worth it because I'm bringing this to you all who like me reviewing these movies and talking about them and bringing my perspective to the table, which thank you everybody who supports me. I greatly appreciate it. Really, I do. So, it was for you guys. I can't get my money back, so it is what it is. But hopefully you enjoyed this video, and I will see you guys in the next one. And yeah, like I said, I can't get my money back. Also, that pizza I bought was flat. It was lifeless and soulless, just like this movie. And I just wish I could get my money back for everything. But anyway, until next time, take care. I will see you all in the next video. Peace.